Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's the season end review. Apologies for being a few minutes late. We have a bit of a technical issue this evening, but hopefully it will not ruin your enjoyment of the show. Let's go.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Depending on how you look at it, the dream for this is over, but we are back in Europe. We are going to take a look at the season in a little bit more depth, hand out some accolades. In the meantime, welcome back to the show, my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
Hello, squaddies. At ease, squaddies. Let's get into it, eh? No messing. Come on.
Okay, so you guys will have to bear with us a little bit tonight. There is a bit of a technical issue in terms of hopefully you can hear us. Let us know. Good evening to all of you in chat for joining us this evening. The usual suspects are in the house, and it's great to see you all and your names pop up. Kev, how's your weekend been?
Yeah, it was all right. I had a busy weekend. I was working all weekend, and then I got to the Emirates after work to enjoy a game. My first game at the Emirates for a while, where I went as a fan. So it was good. I popped into the pub, the Tolly, saw Dapper Dan, and some of the boys there. Saw Guna Ross in there. Saw Magic Mike and his lovely daughter, etc. Bumped into quite a few people, and loads of it was a carnival atmosphere. I've got to say, the Evertonians who were there I think they were there for the beer. If I'm honest with you, after that Thursday evening, so it was a good feeling around the Emirates, and I was privileged, Sophie, to spend the game with my mate Jason, who watches this, who's a great lad, Jason Lavelle, his son Kieran, and Frank McClintock.
Oh, I love Frank.
And we were, and my guest on the day was Paul Smith, who played in the youth team, who we're going to try and get on, hopefully next season at some stage, inside the dressing room, who is 1 year behind Rocky and Mickey Thomas and all them guys. In that picture, when I was 15, he was in there. He's the same year as Merce. Comes from West London like Merce does. So he'll have 150 stories that the squaddies have never heard.
I love it. I can't wait for that, Kev, and lots more great content that's going to come to you next season. We know that things this season didn't quite end up the way that we wanted. The improbable opportunity escaped us, unfortunately. But we are back in Europe, and I wanted to ask you, Kev, because even myself and Magic Mike were going at it a little bit on Twitter earlier, regarding a few comments. One of the things that has, because I'm gonna ask you too, what's bothered you the most this season? And I want to start there just to get that out the way before we get into some of the awards for the players and the squaddies. What's bothered me this season is that we've pointed the finger at each other a little bit, not you and I in particular, but the Arsenal universe, the Arsenal fan base, and just not been able to accept each other's opinions. And I'm not quite sure how and when it got so polarizing. And I feel maybe it has been since the end of the Wenger era, maybe even through a little of Emery, but since Arteta's become the boss, I would say that the fan base, even though it's been united in many ways, home and away, and also from an international perspective, the support that the players get, there is a component and an element where if you have a differing opinion, it's perhaps not as accepted. Like we can't talk to each other like we used to. What's your take on that, Kev, in terms of what you've seen this season?
I don't think it's just this season. I think it's been there pre-Wenger leaving, if I'm honest with you, because, you know, there was toxicity there when Wenger was in charge at the end, let's be honest. And there was people's opinions who didn't quite, you know, marry up. And, you know, there were people fighting in the stand. There were people arguing outside. There were people arguing in their own home, Sophie. So, again, I think the fan base has been a lot more together this season, which is quite weird. I think COVID hasn't been kind because, you know, sometimes when you go to the games and you could discuss things with your friends in the boozer and stuff, that gets rid of a lot of the crap. But when you're watching it from home and your only way to vent is online, it's easy to get caught up in it. So, you know, is it disappointing? Yeah, it is, I suppose, but everybody has an opinion. And you know what? Everybody's opinion is theirs. So, again, I've been called deluded. I've been called crazy. I've been called Arteta's lawyer. I've been called all sorts. It's all right. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't mind because at the end of the day, you've got your opinion. I've got my opinion. And that's how football always is and always will be.
Yeah, and you and I are accepting of each other's opinions, even though they've differed a lot this season, and we can go at it and, you know, come through it with a ton of respect that we have for each other. I think Colin just put it well, and MK, who's in the house too, was saying it's not an Arsenal issue, it's a social media issue. And I think that there's a lot to do with kind of the societal part of stuff, you know, even through politics, pop culture, it's spilled over into sports, Kev. And, you know, if you lean one way, you're toxic. If you lean another way, you're deluded. If you lean this and this way. And unfortunately, you know, part of that is a mirroring society, isn't it? And what's going on social media as well.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you look at all those things that you've mentioned, and it is the way it's been going. And we don't want it to go that way. We want to be able to say our piece and at the end of the day, still support the club to the fullest. That's the key, isn't it? Because the one constant we have is the football club, Sophie. And
right.
you could look at it negatively or you could look at it positively. It's your choice. I choose to look at it positively. Some choose to look at it negatively. Hey, but hey ho, it's a choice.
Yeah, and maybe it's not looking at it negatively. Maybe it's just looking at it with expectations. I expect more from our club. I expect more from the Arsenal. And I think that comes a little bit from our history, Kev, and the experiences we've had. It's I've likened this before on the show to once you stay at the Four Seasons, it's really hard to stay at the roadside motel. And currently, you know, we're the team that has been living it up champagne style at the Four Seasons. And now, in some regard, you know, for the last few, we've been regarded as the roadside motel team. We're back in Europe. We're back in Europa League. It's an opportunity to get back into Champions League. As disappointing as it is, I said, Kev, would the pill be so bitter if it wasn't that lot down the road? Would the pill have been as bitter if Manchester United had finished in fourth? I don't think it would, even though the pill is still very bitter, and I'm not making any excuses for the fact that we have, you know, fluffed our lines. But is it not fair to say that it just hurts so much more because it's that lot?
100%. Hey, come on, Soph. 100%. It is. Of course it hurts more that it's that lot down the road. But realistically, and Shirley, as always, she's got a saying for virtually everything. And this is her saying, Soph. We've got champagne taste, but shandy money. Yeah, we have in the past lived it up in the Ritz and the Savoy, and we've done the afternoon tea with the champagne and the lovely sandwiches. But we can't afford that at the moment. We are not the same. We're trying to build back to that 100%. And this would have been a fantastic shot in the arm, Sophie, wouldn't it, for everybody concerned?
Yeah.
But we just couldn't. But we just couldn't get over the line. And the fact it was that lot as well makes it even more painful. But you know what? Sometimes you look at the here and now, but the future, our future is a lot brighter than theirs. That's what I look at. I look at the players we have who are coming through, who are gaining these experiences now. It's really important for our players to maybe to get a bit of hurt now, Soph, because we don't want the hurt further along the line. I'd rather them feel the hurt now than when they move on down the line and they start to be really established players. You know? So, again, a bit like what happened George Graham's second season, losing to Luton. You know, I know it's not a cup final, but it's still a bit of pain. Hopefully they use that pain for the right reasons and we can get stronger.
Yeah. Lone Star, I've been using this. So I had to come off social media yesterday because between my family who are Spurs fans and my friends, I also went on the preemptive defensive. Before anyone came at me, I just threw it out there, Kev. You know, your trophy is finishing above us. You know, we're busy polishing our trophies this week. Get back to me when you've actually won something. So, of course, I invited it, but I'd rather invite it than them come at me. And this is exactly what I said to them, Lone Star. I'll see you in the Europa League. And, you know, that's just how my weekend went. Well, my Sunday afternoon, Kev, for sure.
Yeah. Well, listen, at the end of the day, you know, I don't see Spurs winning it. Do you? I don't. They're not perennial winners. It's great. Hey, it's great for them that they get in and it'll add some money. But who's to say there won't be changes there? Because you can't guarantee anything.
What did I send you this morning, Kev? My first thing when I woke up, it was the silver lining to a Monday morning where I woke up thinking, damn, man, if only this, if only Everton, if only Man United, if only Brighton, Southampton, if only we didn't concede that late goal against Manchester City, that point would have made a difference as well. If only. And then I saw the Conte press conference and I sent it to you and I was like, aye. You and I have been talking off camera a lot about, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Is he going to be lured by PSG? You know, they want the Champions League so bad. He wants the Champions League so bad. And he loves to spend money, Kev. So who knows?
He loves to spend money and he's got some wonderful players. Mbappe's just signed his new deal. You know, realistically, if you weigh up both, PSG are a lot closer than Spurs.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got some wonderful players there. So listen, he might be lured. He might be lured to PSG. It wouldn't surprise me, Soph.
Yeah.
Because he's a hired gun right now, isn't he? He's a hired gun.
He is.
He signed 18 months for a reason. Let's be honest, you only sign 18 months for a reason if you're going to prove your credentials again. And he's proved it. And PSG, hey, who knows? They might pull the trigger and say, look, you got an open checkbook. Come and win us the Champions League.
Danny D loves the Arsenal channels a lot more than the Spurs channels, it seems. And they've agreed to give him the money. I haven't seen that, by the way.
But what money? Not pocket money, Danny. Not pocket money, mate.
Not milk money, right? Not let's go get a kebab money.
Yeah, none of that. Camden Palace money, no.
No. Right. Let's get stuck into a little bit of the Arsenal and then we'll top it off with the Premier League as well. Kev, for a minute, it looked like City were going to choke again. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say this is where I get really envious. These moments. Being in, as much as I thought, wow, if I was a Gooner right now and we were going through this, I couldn't take it. Right. It's just your heart goes everywhere. But for your team to be in that moment, Liverpool and Manchester City, I mean, they've just been incredible these last few seasons, and that was quite an exciting finish, wasn't it, in the end? Aston Villa and Steven Gerrard made it very, very interesting.
Well, and Wolves made it interesting, so
Yeah, credit to
Wolves
them,
taking the
Kev.
lead. You know, both of the teams going behind, Liverpool 1 and City 2. And you just think, I said it, I was up in the stand, I said, both of them are going to come back. It's just the way, that's the way they're built, Sophie. They're built to win. And you see them, Liverpool, Liverpool, as soon as they equalise, they're going to win. And then as soon as City get one goal back, here it comes. And that's what champions do, Sophie. We've seen it. We've been blessed enough to have teams like that, to see our teams. And sometimes our teams never got in that position because they were so far ahead. But these teams, they've been sensational.
Yeah. And that's why I think fans have every right to feel hurt. No one, we agree on this show, and I don't even have to asterisk it by saying don't ever be abusive in your criticism or in your opinions and thoughts. But if you hurt and you're in pain, it's okay, because we've been there. We've worn the t-shirt, we've drank from the mug, we've worn the socks. And so it's hard.
And we've lauded it, Soph.
Yes.
As the best. When you're the best, you can laud it, can't you?
The bragging rights are something else, aren't they?
Bragging rights are something else. But when you're the best, that's a whole new level.
You're right, Kev, because there's a difference. One of the things I was arguing with and by the way, someone said the fact that you guys are talking about Tottenham says a lot. It's like we're talking about everyone, and you're our rivals, and you're actually tuned into an Arsenal channel, so that says a lot. Just saying. But there's bragging rights, Kev, and achieving. And then there's bragging rights like Tottenham and achieving nothing other than having the bragging rights that you've finished above your rivals in the Premier League again. I'd take our 4 FA Cups in our darkest times, in our darkest hours, in our darkest days from 2014-15 onwards than have their moment. That's my honest truth. You can finish all you want above us.
They'd trade us 1 FA Cup.
Yeah, they would.
They would trade us 1 FA Cup, let alone 4.
As would Everton, as would, all these other clubs.
Big time.
Look at Liverpool. They were desperate to win the FA Cup. They wanted Klopp to win domestic trophies. And because he hadn't really closed the deal on the domestic side, and in order for him to really kind of be encapsulated as this super legend, was to have a little bit more of that dominance on the domestic scene as well, wasn't it, Kev? He wins the League Cup, wins the FA Cup. And these things matter. They matter to managers like Klopp, and they matter to managers like Pep Guardiola, especially. Klopp had poo-pooed those competitions a little bit. And this season, he took them a little bit more seriously, and look what happened.
Yeah, I think for fans as well, Sophie, I know certain fans not interested because the Champions League, absolute nonsense. Winning trophies is what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Getting silverware on the sideboard, getting the polish out, and you're proud of your team winning at Wembley. It means a lot. It really does. And listen, you see Liverpool taking everything serious. They're playing every game they could have played in, they will play in this season. And, they come up a little bit short in the league. But they've won 2 cups and they're going for the Champions League. So, what a season they're having.
Yeah, they really are. It's amazing to see. And that's the aspiration. That's what we need to be going after again. And seeing a team like Liverpool, who hadn't won the league in 30 years, who had definitely had success in Europe after a while. But look at Manchester United right now, kind of in football obscurity, going through a mega change and an evolution. Again, another club that has been legendary, having to rediscover their DNA and their profile. I sent you an article today, Kev, that was written by a journalist in Denver regarding the Nuggets and, the Cronkies and them not closing the deal when they had a good manager in, I think it was George Karl. Was it Karl? George Karl.
Mm-hmm.
having a few star players, didn't capitalize on that, decided to penny pinch instead. Um, when I read it, I shared it with you and I shared it with a few other people too, because as I was reading it, I was like, wow, okay, I've read this story before. Does that concern you at all with us in the summer, Kev? That what I sent to you?
No, it don't. It don't. Listen, the way pro sports, especially basketball, works, you work into a certain budget, aren't you? Every team has a budget, and they've had the star players, and you're expecting the star players to get the team over the line with the coach. That's what you're doing. It's not Arsenal haven't really been in that position. That's the position we want to be in, Soph. We want to be in the position where we've got all the tools. If we've got all the tools, then fair enough. But we haven't got all the tools. But we need to acquire the tools. So I think that's where we're coming to. This summer's key because we need a lot more tools than we have. We're very light on tools, on players that we need. And we need to get busy. And we need to get busy early, Soph.
We do. And I understand the NBA has salary cap budgets, but they've made fundamental decisions that have actually made the Nuggets take step backs, Matt. And here's the scoop. Their director of operations, the guy who makes the tick team, brings in the players, makes the draft decisions together with the coach. He's being interviewed by, I think, the Timberwolves today. They're about to lose one of the best executives in the league who has helped keep this whole thing together. And the point of the article was that the Cronkies don't seem to care about it. The proof will be in the September 2nd pudding, not because it's my birthday, but because it will be the end of the summer transfer window, Super Kev. And let's see if they double down on what they've promised, what they've said. Adu said, we start off with youth, then we will build around them with world-class players. Of course, not having Champions League football hinders that a little bit. We have signed players previously. When we've had Europa League football, I think the game has changed a little bit fiscally in that regard. But you would hope that there is a bit of a step up to a Ben White, even a Tomiyasu, even a Ramsdale, Kev. You know, I would love to see Gabriel Jesus come to the Arsenal. Look who came. Do you remember we had this conversation and a couple of fans poo-pooed the idea of Gundogan coming to the Arsenal? Who saved City yesterday? The Croc, the old 31-year-old. Don't be snobby, people. Don't be snobby.
But listen, Arsenal, where we are, because we got champagne taste and shandy money, we can't afford to be snobby. Saying we don't want to drink shandy, we want to drink champagne. No, what we've got to do is bring in the players who's going to help us get to the champagne money. That's what we've got to do. And we've got to be smart about it. And you know what? Some might not work out as well, Soph. We've seen that happen before. But if we don't take the chance, we're not going to know.
Yeah. I just have to put this up a minute. King Arthur, put your sword down. Our opinions being censored on this channel. Soph, not cool. Do you realize this is probably the only Arsenal channel that doesn't have super chats, and we try and get as many comments on here as possible from everybody? So maybe explain yourself as to why you think they're being censored. We have almost 400 people in live chat on this fine Monday. And, you know, we like to moderate our own show because we want and value the opinions of our listeners. And so, you know, if you're going to say something like that, just help us understand the context of why you are saying it. If there's a message you've put up that we've missed, those things do happen.
So I've got to say, it was great to see Gunnar Ross in the Tolly with Dapper Dan and Magic. It was really good.
I love those guys, and Gunnar Ross is hilarious. He's probably asking Jen for a cup of tea right now while he listens to the show. He's a top shelf human, isn't he, Kev?
He is. He's top class. And you know what? He started the rendition of Super Kevin the Tolly.
Did he? I love it.
Which was nice of him, but yeah, it was quality, mate. Quality.
Okay, kids, let's get to some fun stuff, shall we? By the way, before I get stuck into, because we want Super Kev's accolades, and everyone has to get stuck into this. Okay, all 400 of you in live chat, chief like officers out there. Kev, tell them what you would like this evening. By the way, before I proceed here with the events of the evening.
Listen, I want to run on 55% likes.
Ooh, upping the stakes.
55% likes. So that's 55 out of every 100. That's what we need.
All right, perfect.
Come on, guys.
Okay, let's get stuck into this, shall we, you guys? There's lots to be proud of this season, and there's lots to be a bit bummed about. So why don't we just get stuck into it? So many people wrote to me, by the way, Kev, that they ran into you yesterday, and they were sending me pictures and stuff like that. We'll share a bunch of them on another show. I do want to do, and we will be doing later on this week, a fan review show of the season. So if you would like to be part of our fan review show, because your voices matter, your voices are what fuel the Highbury Squad, please email us at thehighburysquad@gmail.com, thehighburysquad@gmail.com. If you want to participate, it will be at the usual time, 8 o'clock, probably on Wednesday or Thursday. So if you want to be part of that, then please do hit us up via email. All right, Kev, let's get stuck into it. Let's start off with a couple of simple ones. Who for you, by the way, sorry, Gunnerballs, James has very kindly allowed us to use his wonderful art for today's shows, Kev. He's really super talented. I love his stuff. And he's really super cool. You know, go to Twitter and follow Gunnerballs with a Z, and you'll see all of his amazing work. And he's very kindly allowed us to use some of his art for thumbnails this season, and we're very, very grateful for that. So, Kev, let's get stuck into it. Who has been your signing of the season? This is the Arsenal first. We will then do a very quick one on the Premier League at the end.
Best signing of the season.
Of this season, yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go with Ramsdale on this one. But that don't necessarily mean he's the best player. Do you understand what I mean?
No, this is the best signing.
Yeah, I think we needed that character and attitude at the back. And I think he's been a breath of fresh air. He's had his moments, Sophie. Let's have it right. He's made his mistakes as well. But I think overall, I think he's been the best signing for Arsenal.
Super Kev, I'm going to agree with you. There's a few in the chat that are going for Odegaard.
Yeah.
Lots of Spurs fans here tonight. Clearly, I love it. And Leicester fans, and there's a few Man United fans in the house. A lot of people.
Well, they've had enough of their clubs, haven't they? They come
of
over
course.
here.
Yeah, they're getting more. We've got a lot for Tomiyasu as well, Kev.
I just think for me, I just think the injury in key moments probably dulled it down, because I thought he was having a fantastic season. So
he was. So for me, I'm also going for Ramsdale. For me, I'll mention it later, but this moment, which, by the way, James captured in his art that we are using on the show today, was just so iconic, you know, and the bravado that he brought. I know he kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of the season, Kev, but I think also there was a big difference when Tommy was in the team at the back with him too.
Yeah.
And Tierney.
And here's the thing, you see, Soph. It's not just him who fell off. We fell off a bit, you know, as a team. Even when we're winning games, Soph, we weren't winning them convincingly. We were just getting over the line and stuff like that. So, you know, we didn't finish as strong as we could for whatever reason. But Ramsdale made a real big difference at the back, Sophie. He did. And, you know, he's not more experienced than Leno, but he made a bigger impact than Leno at the back there. So yeah, I think Ramsdale gets that best signing.
And here's what I love, double T back in the house, Terence. He was the catalyst on the pitch for helping evolve our player bravado. Now, maybe he got a little bit too cocky towards the end of the season, Kev, perhaps. But when we needed it the most, when people were poo pooing the summer transfers, when we went through that period of the 3 games, no points, all of that jazz, he really was the shithousery you and I have wanted to see in this team for a long, long time. The banter with the away fans, the giving it some. I didn't mind seeing that at all because people have criticized us for not having that in our squad for so long. So for me, I think I think he brought that element to the table as well, which was really important.
Yeah, very important. Really
Okay.
good.
All right then. So we are both in agreement on our best signing. Who was the most improved player for you this season, Super Kev?
I think
And
this one's
everyone in
easy.
chat.
I think this one's easy. I think Emil Smith Rowe. ESR, remember, he got the number 10 shirt. A lot of people weren't sure whether he would do the business. But I know at times he didn't start games, but he made an impact a lot of the times he was on the pitch. Hit double figures in goals as well, Sophie. You heard us mention at the kind of near the start of the season. You know, if we're going to rely on these boys, they're going to have to hit double figures. And Smith Rowe, he produced, Soph. You know, he produced. I thought he was our most improved player, especially with the goals.
Okay, so we differ on this one a little bit. And Lone Star says ESR, lots of ESR for JJ as well, name blocked. He's got a few votes. Martinelli for Mark. I might do DS. Hold on. Martinelli again here. I'm going to go with GD and I'm going to go with Stephen F. I think Xhaka was our most improved player this season. After the adversity at the beginning of the season, Kev, when we had such a young team and we really needed experience, when Thomas Partey was injured, I'm not saying he's brilliant. I'm not saying he's the best, but in a time where you really needed certain players to step up, Laka stepped up, but then just dipped. Xhaka stepped up and was kind of like this for us this season. And I think we really needed that. So Xhaka for me.
Fair. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Who for you has been the most underrated player of the season?
This one's easy. Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard's the most underrated. Remember, people are poo-pooing the price we paid for him, Soph, and we stole him. But I think this season, a lot of people started to realize just what a real good, not only player but technician this young man is, and ended up captaining the team, which he's captain of his country, and you know, he's done a good job captaining Arsenal. Although we kind of fell away at the end, I still think he's still so underrated, and that's without really having a proper striker to play with. I think the moment we get that, so we're going to be in business.
Yeah. So the most underrated for me, I'm going to go here too. Even though he's been lauded, I think, is he underrated? I think maybe, I don't know if it's underappreciated. I think we love him, but the importance of Gabriel in this team has been so valuable. And I think Ben White plays a lot better when Gabriel's by his side. I think we've seen the difference of what happens at the back when either Ben White or Gabriel are not playing. I would maybe even add Ben White into this. I think that maybe for Ben White, it's underappreciation versus underrated, Kev. We saw what happened in the games. Holding played very well for a couple of games, but again, these fringe players, they can only come in for what, 2-3 games, and eventually they can't hold. Cedric as well is one that I think deserves some credit, even though, again, in the last couple games, he you could see he ran out of the adrenaline, he ran out of the mojo. But my goodness, when Tomiyasu went down, Kev, we said, can he keep up these performances? And let's be honest, He's not the answer full time and he's not the answer long term, but Cedric came in and balled when we needed him to.
I think he's underappreciated myself. Not underrated. I think he's underappreciated. I think Gabriel is rated very highly, Soph. I think he is rated. But obviously it was underrated. And I think Martin Odegaard. Many people question why didn't we go and get James Maddison? You know, we got Odegaard in the building. And I think Odegaard showed, you know, what a really good player he is. Although James Maddison had a good season for Leicester. He finished their top scorer. But Odegaard has been real quality for us.
Okay, 450 of you in live chat. Keep your comments coming. Lots of love for Nketiah as well in terms of underrated. Matt throwing in Saliba. We'll see what happens with that. One day we'll know the outcome to that one. El Neni, another, I think, obviously with stepping in at the tail end of the season. JJ thinks that Cedric was robbed of man of the match yesterday. He did great. Matt thinks
Scored
Pepe,
a great goal as well.
Yep. You know, so there's a lot of differing views and opinions. Right. Here we go with the next one. So we did the most underrated. This is one I'm sure you all like because everyone likes a little bit of Simon Cowell in them. Kev, who do you feel was the most overrated?
I think Nuno Tavares, especially after he came in earlier on in the season. After he came in earlier on in the season, everybody was talking about maybe we should sell Tierney and, you know, look at Nuno. And then as the season progresses and Nuno was coming back to play games, you see the imperfections in his game. You saw it was very difficult. And, you know, listen, I thought he'd done pretty well at times, but he still has his moments defensively. He leaves a lot to be desired, and I think he's a little bit overrated. He needs to get a good rest in the summer and buckle down in pre-season. He needs to improve, Soph.
Yeah, I hear you. So Nuno is Kev's most overrated, and he certainly has a lot to learn. I'm gonna pick someone who I've defended to the hilt, and I've stood by for a very, very long time. But my goodness, what happened to Lacazette in the last bit of the season? Is overrated the right word here where he's concerned? I think in this instance, perhaps if Eddie had come in a little bit earlier, let's face it, Eddie was a player that none of us really felt could come in and do the job. You know, we've been crying out for a striker. Aubameyang certainly wasn't doing it. But had Eddie come in and given us a few more goals in some of those games where Lacazette started to struggle and Arteta kept faith with him, Kev, what could have been? And some of it has got to do as well with, you know, perhaps him wanting to move on. Was he as engaged? We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But, yeah.
He ran out of juice. Ran out of juice. Lacazette ran out of juice. That happens. It's hard being a striker, carrying that line. It's hard. It's hard on the body, and he's not a spring chicken. You know, needs
Kev,
more help.
Kev, I'll let you address this one. A little bit of Josh from the tactical squad having a Ferrari in the garage, but if there's no wheels, you can't drive it. A few like Rich, who's an OG here, and there's a few that have put in Thomas Partey. What's your take on that?
I got nothing to say. That's their opinion. But I could tell you this much. If he's in our team, are we better? Yes or no?
I think we found that out pretty quickly, didn't we?
Well, exactly. So how could he be overrated if he makes us better? Don't make sense.
There's a lot of overrated comments for Ben White as well, Kev, which doesn't surprise me.
I think Ben White and Gabriel formed a good partnership. Again, Sophie, a lot of people are going to say this stuff, but when you actually look at the numbers and look at what we've done, you know, the partnerships, it's about partnerships all over the pitch. Ben White and Gabriel have been pretty good this season. They've had their moments like anybody else, but I think they've been pretty good.
Yeah. Okie doke. Keep them coming in thick and fast. 450 of you in live chat. The chat is on fire and it's moving really quickly. Holding's hair implants are overrated. Actually, they're not, Mark. They're so solid. Those could be some of the best implants I've ever seen. Okay, we are going to go to. Let's see which one next. Kev, who for you is the unsung hero this season?
I think Tommy Arsu. I think
Mm.
Tommy Arsu has been an unsung hero. Didn't really know much about himself, if I'm honest with you. You know, started to do some research on him, etc. And it was like, okay, let's see what we got. Sophie, he really impressed me. No nonsense. Obviously, doesn't say nothing, but his performances and his toughness on that right hand side. You know, after the right backs we've had messing around there, all of a sudden we had somebody who can defend. Makes such a
Mm.
difference, doesn't it? And then, you know, we started to add a bit more to his game going forward. So I think Tommy Arsu is an unsung hero. So I think there's categories where Tommy Arsu could have had a shout, didn't get a shout, but I've got to get him in somewhere, so because I love him. I think he's great. So yeah, I think he's an unsung hero.
Okay, so lots for Tommy and lots for El Neni, and I think that is coming, because it's all fresh in our minds right now. And let's be honest, when Sambi was kind of set up to fail, I think Arteta learned from that, and he went with El Neni. Um, my unsung hero is a little bit different, Kev, and I may add a plural to that. My unsung heroes this season have
Is
been
it hero or heroes though, Soph? Come on.
okay. Then fine. I'll
I know
save
I'm
that
still
one for later.
I know I'm still gonna get two. I know I am.
I'll save that one for later then. I will agree with you on Tommy Yasu. What could have been if he was fit? What could have been if Thomas Partey was fit? What could have been if Kieran Tierney was fit? What could have been even if Ben White was fit for the two games that he missed and he came into a game we know he just didn't look right, did he? El Neni as well coming in the way he did. What I like about this squad is there is a lot of unselfishness. It's gone from being a narcissistic, apathetic team to more of a group of players who play for each other. And we've seen what Manchester United have experienced this season, Kev, where they're playing as individuals versus playing as a team. So, for me, I think Tommy is a great shout as well. All right, let's go to Arsenal's best young player of the season.
Yeah, I this was a toss-up for me between Ramsdale and ESR. And I don't know. I think Ramsdale can still get in, I believe. God, can he, Soph? If he can't, it makes it ESR. I was going to go for Ramsdale because of what he'd done, the way he came in. He came in with people already having a go at him, and he's made the position his own. He's been a big character. I loved what ESR's done, scoring double figures. But, a lot of the time, Ramsdale started. And I think young player would be Ramsdale.
Interesting. I thought you were going to pick Saka. But you didn't.
You thought wrong, didn't you?
Wrong. Yeah, for me, even though he's been off the boil the last few games of the season, he was up for Premier League Young Player, missed out to Phil Foden, of course. He just improved season on season. I think we need to be careful about over-relying on him. Hopefully we'll address that in the summer. But Saka, for me, is the best young player of this side. And what I love, Kev, is after missing a major penalty for England in the Euros, being abused, he showed a lot of character and strength and depth. It shows you not only how he's kind of been built through Halen, but the type of family that he has too. And to see him then start taking penalties and exercise those demons for a young player, those things can destroy a character and a soul of confidence, Kev. And so for me, Saka I would love for him to I would love for Saka to not come on the summer tour. I'd like for him to just take the whole time off. But obviously he's too valuable from a marketing perspective, Kev. But I would love to see him just be out until the 1st of August. That's what I
Yeah,
would like to see.
I get that. I get that. I get that. But when you're that young, Soph, you don't want to. See, it's people like us who say we want to wrap him in cotton wool. He don't want the time off. He
No,
wants
I
to
know.
play and train, and he wants to experience it all. And that's
Yeah,
why he's not in the running for the young player for me.
I know. Okay, hold that thought. We're saving that one to the end. Okay, how about your best goal of the season?
I go for the goal against Man City. Saka's goal against Man
Oh,
City
that was a
because
beauty.
of the moment. It really was, us against Man City, and the way we played and the way we took the game to them, and that goal that Saka stroked in. I thought it was a great move. Martinelli was flying, etc. And the ball comes across and Saka strokes it in the corner. Great moment for us. I like the goal at Watford, his goal and Martinelli's goal as well, but I just think that one was a real big moment for Saka. Look at him. He's a dream, so the boy.
I know.
He
I
really is a
know.
dream.
I know. I just love him. I want to be his mom. Kev. So for me, it was either the City goal, the Martinelli goal against Southampton. But people are going to be surprised. The name blocked. Don't come at me. It's not because I want him to stay or anything. But Xhaka's goal against United, the moment, the occasion, them, the crowd, I was there. It just was a vintage Arsenal coming together. I felt like this is it. We are going to qualify for the Champions League. It was a little bit like, and I was there for the Welbeck goal against Leicester City.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
You know,
think that's the tide turning, don't you? Yeah.
yeah. But we've got Patino's under 23. Okay, Martinelli's volley finishing Tomiyasu's cross, Xhaka boom, the Odegaard free kick, Odegaard screamer. We got Xhaka's goal. We got Martinelli versus Newcastle from the Tommy lob. We got Xhaka bullet again here. Saka pen. That was a big moment. That was beautiful. That really
Huge
was.
moment. Yeah.
Got Martinelli, we got Xhaka, we got Gabby against Newcastle again. Xhaka, Cedric Screamer with his wrong foot on Sunday, the Southampton goal. Xhaka, Martinelli, Lacazette against Southampton. Xhaka goal, Southampton goal. ESR against Chelsea, Martinelli again. And yeah, interesting stuff there on the goal of the season. It was a really good goal, Demsek. It really was. Okay, Kev, this one might be easy.
It is. I could tell you now. You don't even need to
Okay.
say it.
You want to just say it?
Ramsdale against Leicester.
This is it.
Unbelievable save.
You know what, Kev? The double save against Tottenham at the Emirates, where we won 3-1, was also quite sensational in terms
Yeah.
of his saves this season. And he's made, this is why I think I know he's fallen off a little bit, guys, but what he's done for the team, and this has been immortalized, as I showed you at the beginning of the show by Gunnar Balls. That was an unbelievable. Hello, Arsenal Football Club. Hello, Arsenal fans. It was a great save. It was brilliant. He played out of his mind that day. Saved
Well,
us.
it was sensational save, Soph. It really was. And they say the goalkeeper can save you 15 points a season. Who's to say if that goes in, what happens in that game? Because that would make it 1-1. And we're away at their place, so
Yeah, an honorary mention for Leno against Aston Villa late on for sure, and definitely the double save against Spurs. That was monumental because Spurs had all the momentum in that second half. Kev.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. All right, before we get to best player, so we've done best young player, underrated, overrated, improved, unsung hero, best signing, goal, and save. Kev, what for you was the best moment of the season?
Beating Spurs, especially after. Hey, hold on, they're coming for me. Hold on. Right. Especially after, Soph, our first 3 games of the season. You know, the first 3 games, we got no points. Do you remember what it was like on these pods for us two? It was where constant battle. We were dragging ourselves up. There was all sorts going on, in dissension in the chat. Then we beat Norwich. We won another game, and then we played Spurs. And we saying these are the 3 games where it's going to determine whether Mikel Arteta stays at the club. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And they produced an incredible performance. So beating Spurs was the best moment of the season, to be honest. For me.
For me, the best moment of the season, you know, I'm not one for wanting to merit losses, but for me, and again, maybe it's the hope that kills you and you get too excited. And in the end, being a young team really came back to bite us in the arse. And the performance against Manchester City was one of the best moments. To actually see our team play that way against the top sides. And I'll dovetail that with the Liverpool performance with 10 men at Anfield. Those were coming of age performances. And if we just had a few more experienced players, Kev, in this squad to help push us over the edge, I think we could have built on those performances just a tad more. But we kept relying on the young Paul, and in the end, there was a drought.
You keep going to the well, and you know it's going to dry up at some stage when you're young.
Yeah, and it was one of those most injustice kind of. How is it we've lost this game? You know, when are we going to overcome that hump where we play a game like this and we end up losing it? You know, so hopefully when Arteta's going through the season with the players, you know, those are the things that he'll point to, that the things that we can build on. And agree with you, MK, and a whole bunch of you. The banter of beating Chelsea
was a fantastic moment as well. Yeah.
Okay, this one might be a little bit more obvious, you guys, but I'm not talking about what happened at the end of the season here. Was there a moment in the season that was very disappointing for you, Kev?
Yeah, there was a few. I think there was a few. You know, we didn't win a game in January, did we? Was it January where we?
January was bad. We got kicked out of the League Cup.
We struggled. We struggled big time.
We lost.
We really
3
struggled.
On the trot, I think it was.
I think that month we struggled big time. We weren't ourselves. It was Africa Cup of Nations and all that kind of thing.
We didn't sign anyone.
Exactly. I think that was a disappointment at the time. Of course it was, because you just want to keep ticking over. You want to keep picking up points. But I've got to say, so when the lights were at the brightest, Spurs and Newcastle, that moment, that's the most disappointing. And I understand it, because maybe we're not quite right. We're not good enough, and we're not quite ready yet. But still a disappointment for us. And for me, because I so wanted that Champions League, so I really did.
AFC Max agrees with you there, Kev. Lots of Everton loss coming. Lots of Everton loss. For me, again, a moment where we turn the page against a particular team. The most disappointing moment for me felt like, you know, okay, Everton away, you could lose. It's the manner in which we lost. Crystal Palace against Vieira, he could do one on us. I accepted that. Didn't accept Brighton, of course, and Southampton coming, you know, after those. Newcastle away was just horrific. The North London derby, especially being stuck in a pub in Cyprus with, you know, Tottenham fans, just awful. But Manchester United at Old Trafford, Kev, that was another one of those matches where we had them on the hook. We dominated that first half. And I think there's been instances this season where we could have gone in for the kill and we played it a little bit too safe and showed way too much respect to that Manchester United team, Kev. And that was so disappointing that we walked away losing that match.
But weren't that close? The Man United game and Everton game were close, weren't they?
They were one after the other, I think.
One after the other. And that just goes to show how this team, you know, the maturity of the team wasn't quite there then. Because Arsenal had both of them. Arsenal had Man United and Everton. But they played too passive. Do you remember me and you came on a podcast after the Everton game? And I said to you, because I was pitch side and I was watching Mikel Arteta and he was going crazy to try and get them up the pitch, because what they were doing was conceding too much room and space to the opposition, Soph. And the same thing happened against Manchester United. The same thing happened, and we ended up getting beat 3-2 in both games. Sorry, 3-2-1 or 3-1, 3-2 against United. We end up losing both games.
Yeah. And there's moments, this is where, even though our young players have shown maturity, I've said it a lot on the show, haven't I, Kev? We still have naivety, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first 3 games of the season, I don't think we point to, because that wasn't even when the squad was formed. You know, you can point to that. If we'd have started off better, fine. But as the team evolved and stuck together and grew together, there were just some moments where you look back on and you just think. I was talking to a Liverpool fan the other day, and they said, look, we came back with 11 points behind City. We gave it a good go. And I said to them, if you'd beaten Tottenham and we'd gotten a point against them at the North London Derby, we'd both be happy today. So sometimes you can pick one game, but a season is made of many moments, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And they can all come back to haunt you. Right. All right, Kev, we'll finish with this one for the Arsenal, and then we'll do a little bit of the Premier League. Best player of the season. 505 of you in live chat. Chief Like Officer, tell us what we've got. Kev wants to know. Who is your best player of the season? Get your comments in now. Super Kevin Campbell, what say you?
I am totally biased, obviously, to the Hale End. And I think after what Saka went through in the summer, we said this is going to be a big season to see how he responds. I thought Bukayo Saka was absolutely brilliant. Obviously have his moments, exactly. People telling me he's knackered at Christmas. No, he wasn't. And to see what other opposition teams were trying to do to stop him. And there was that photograph against Manchester City in the second half.
Oh, I love that picture.
Where Saka's got the ball and he's surrounded by, I think it was about 5 Manchester City players. That, to me, tells me that I'm giving it to... It was a tight one between him and Ødegaard, right? But I'm giving it to Saka because Saka has hit double figures in goals as well, Soph. I think he's our top goal scorer.
Yeah.
Saka. So we did say, do you remember last season we said Saka's got to add goals to his game. You know, he's got to finish these chances off. He's at double figures now. So we're going to expect that for Saka now. And you know what? Whether we like or not, he's improved. You know, from that England European finalist, he's been the second most consistent player this year. Everybody else kind of has fallen off. Phil Foden's been in and out. Obviously, he's playing for City, so obviously gets young player or whatever. Still a wonderful player. But I think playing regularly and consistently, Saka's been number 2 out of that England squad. Number 1, I think you know who I think has been number 1. Declan Rice at West Ham, I think he's been incredible this season. But I think Saka's been number 2. And maybe it's just me coming through the ranks at Arsenal as well, Sophie. You know, I'm going to give it to Saka because I think that young man really deserves it. Because you know what? When the flack is flying and people are against you and you're getting hate, it is so hard to keep your confidence and keep your game together. And he has improved. He's improved. He's hit double figures and he's still been a threat. So I give it to Saka, Soph.
And like you, there's a moment where you had a moment with your teammates for England as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what that is like for sure, Kev. I really toyed with the idea, like you, of picking this fella, but I just don't see how you can't pick this young man. I really don't. Um, you know, the goal ratio, like you said, getting into double digits, puts the team on his shoulders for a lot of a lot of the season. Everything that's been asked of him. Let's hope that, you know, I think we're close. There's just a clause that he wants. Of course, he wants Champions League football. Let that be a warning to you, Arsenal. Do not let this boy down. Do not.
100%, Soph. We've discussed this before.
We have.
And he's going to give Arsenal the benefit of the doubt for now. But if we don't make the moves, just like any player would,
We've got 2 seasons, Kev.
got to make some ground up.
And you could argue that, and I hope Arsenal are protecting themselves. They've got to, right? They've got to learn from what happened to Harry Kane and the Man City deal. Learn from obviously Grealish and City having a buyout clause, and of course Saka wants the Champions League clause in his contract. But I mean, I would even argue, I say 2, but things move fast in football. He's hanging out with all those boys in England, Trent and Phil and Jack and all those guys. It's going to be now or never soon. Otherwise,
2 years, 2 years, 2 years max. If it's not happening, then he'd be stupid not to want to sample it.
Yeah. Okay, we've got 520 of you in live chat, 223 likes. Thank you so much for joining us this fine Monday. But we're a little under the ratio Kev would like to see, just a little bit.
Come on, guys. Come on now. We need more likes. I tell you what, we need minimum 50 more.
50 more. 50
Come
more.
on.
Kev, even though he hasn't won a complete award, we said this about Saka last season. Gabby needs to also improve his goal scoring for next season, right, Kev? He's such a talent. He's a superstar in the making. So real quick, I just wanted to ask you about a couple players. Martinelli for next season's got to score more goals, correct?
Yeah, he's got to score more goals, and he'll be a lot more. I think he'll be a better player next season because do you remember at the start of the season, many people thought he wouldn't get a lot of game time. He's got a lot of game time. Although he's dovetailed with ESR at times, he's got a lot of game time. He'll be better next season. We've seen him rip some defenses at times, and we've seen him really not be himself at times. So, again, that's all part of being a young player to get your consistency. He'll be better next season.
Gunnar Russ says he can't score goals hugging the chalk line. We've
Gunnar
seen
Russ is a winger. He's not a number 9. He's a winger. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and I agree. Get his head up a little bit. Just a little bit. Kev, what... I've got them pictured here together, but what about Ben White for next season, Kev? A polarizing figure with the fan base. What quick advice do you give to Ben White for next season?
Just keep doing what you're doing and keep being smart, keep being good on the ball. You've had a decent first season, but there's tougher tests ahead because that young man from France is coming in. He's coming back. And everybody's going to be tested then, Soph, because he wants to play. And he's proven now he's a French international, full French international, young French player of the year. He's coming for a man's spot, so he's going to have to be on his toes.
All right. let me just get this comment in as well from UG right here. Okay, I've got one more for you. This is another digital piece of art from Gunner Balls. And what, Kev, is your tip for this guy? What would you say to Mikel if you were having a Heineken Zero right now?
Well, this is the summer, isn't it? This is the key now. We need firepower. We need a striker or two. I think preferably two. Now's the time to go and get those players that's going to fatten this squad up. Not only one, to help these young players develop, but to be able to get this Arsenal side across the line. Because the margins are so fine, Sophie. You draw one game and win one game of the ones you've lost, you're in the Champions League comfortably. And that's how fine those margins can be at times. And this is with a depleted squad. And, when we change it in the FA Cup, we're not the same. The Patinos of this world come in and we're young. We need a stronger squad. And this is the summer now. You've proven that you can bring players in to make us better. Now's the time. We've got to push it on. Put your foot on that accelerator now, Mikel. And let's do business early.
Kev, do you think after what Saliba's been saying on camera and Champions League, can Arteta convince him to come back?
Well, he's an Arsenal player. He's got no choice. He's an Arsenal player. He's got 2 years left on his deal. I think there's obviously a conversation to be had. 100% there's a conversation to be had. But, Arsenal wouldn't be sending him out on loan to get experience if they didn't intend to be using him. Now that he's done so well, all of a sudden they're going to turn and say, well, no, we're going to sell you. Nah. And he's he's the best young defender in France. No chance. He's going nowhere, Soph.
Do you agree with MK2? Maybe it's his agent infusing a little bit of this versus...
I think so. And do you know what, Sophie? Rightly so if his agent's going to be talking, because his agent's the one who's going to be going in for the new deal, isn't he? Yeah. So, you cause the stir on the left, you cause the chaos on the left, and you come in on the right.
Yeah. My advice to Mikel Arteta is please learn from your mistakes. And, it's not easy to admit when you make mistakes, but behind closed doors, as you plan for the new season, learn from the mistakes like playing Xhaka at left back. Learn from mistakes with regards to putting square pegs in round holes sometimes. Learn from, I know you believe in certain players a lot, but maybe learn from the fact that if we're going to move this team forward, you can't rely on Eddie Nketiah for a season. You can't rely on Rob Holding. El Neni is a great squad player. If we're going to improve and move forward, we need better quality. I think he knows that. The question is, are the Cronkies going to support him and give him that? But learning from your mistakes as a young manager, I think, is really, really important. Okay, quick fire here, Kev. 505 in live chat. Get stuck into this as well. Premier League overall, the best signing in the Premier League this season.
Eddie Howe.
Oh, good one.
Eddie Howe, Soph. You know me, I do the Hollywood Bulls with Geordie Pete. I remember Geordie Pete before Eddie Howe went in there. He was suicidal. Sophie, how bad it was. They were terrible. Eddie Howe coming in changed everything, so for them. Look at them, comfortable now, more than comfortable. I know they brought Bruno in and Target and what's the lad at the back? The big lad.
At Newcastle, you mean?
Burn.
Yeah.
They brought in some decent players, but Eddie Howe.
Trippier. I mean, look, Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Bruno.
Yeah.
They've all come in, but it's the man that manager shaped them and got them going. So, and what a signing he was, because you know what? Many people weren't sure. Many people questioned
It's
Eddie Howe
brilliant.
signing.
It's a brilliant one, Kev. Yeah, I think I would swap mine for what you picked, but you know, I think there's Luis Diaz, but it's half a season, but still, you can tell what a player he's going to be. They can afford to lose one of the dynamic trio up front because they've signed him. Incredible signing. Also, you know, and people are saying it in chat, the fact that he made Joe Linton a great player, a really great player at Newcastle, moving him into midfield on the flank. I mean, seriously, what a move, right?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
But sorry, Arsenal fans. Sometimes you make big, bold decisions. There are a few teams that made decisions that saved themselves from relegation or moved themselves up. You know, Everton getting Lampard in the end saved them because he transformed their home form, and the home form is what saved them in the end.
Yeah.
Newcastle sacking Bruce eventually and bringing in Eddie, amazing. And Tottenham sacking Nuno and bringing in Conte. You could argue Conte and his 2 signings in January were what saved them and gave them Champions League football. And I don't see things through rose-colored glasses. I just call it as I see it. And I wish we'd have done the same in January by bringing in a couple of players, and maybe that would have helped us as well. Kev, I didn't have this one on the list for you, but off the top of your head, who's the worst signing of the season?
Oh, jeez.
I've got one for you.
Go on.
Lukaku.
I don't know about worst. I think that went a bit pear-shaped because obviously of an interview, didn't it? You know, that went pear-shaped. Listen, at the start of the season, Sophie, nobody was saying that's the worst signing of the season. Everyone was like, well, Chelsea are going to be there or thereabouts. You know, you could look around the league. You look at Manchester United, you know, Ronaldo's done brilliant. Sancho in the end started to pick up. You know, Man United have been awful this season, haven't they? Absolutely awful this season. And, you know, defensively, you bring in Varane and you think that's going to make them super solid, and they get worse.
Crazy.
So, you know, it's a tough one. It really is a tough one for that. Grealish, you could say Grealish, but, you know, Grealish just walked away with a title medal.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's still learning how to be in amongst the top players. Because remember, he's never been in around it so much.
There's a lot of votes for Sancho and Varane, Kev.
Yeah, you know, hey, listen, remember Buendia as well?
Yeah,
Willow just said Buendia. You know, Buendia, many people saying, well, we shouldn't have got this, we should have got Buendia, da-di-da-di-da. I don't think Buendia's had a good season at all. I think he's been awful. I
actually think Gerrard's underachieved at Villa, considering the signings that they made, and the Dele Alli getting some votes, but he came up trumps in the game that mattered at the end of the season.
When it mattered, yeah.
All right, Kev, quick fire ones. We'll get out here in a few minutes. Best young player of the Premier League. You mentioned Declan Rice earlier. You stick by that?
Yeah, I'll stick by Declan Rice. I think he's been outstanding.
Me too. I'd love to see him at the Arsenal. Okay,
Me
so
too.
best goal of the season.
Mo Salah against City. I thought that was individually, that was outstanding. Brilliant goal.
That was juicy. Was it Kovacic, the Chelsea?
The volley.
That was pretty hot.
That was a great goal as well. That was a really good goal.
Really good. Okay, and your best player of the year in the Premier League?
Do you know what? I'm going to give it to Salah because at the end, he went off the boil a little bit. But Sophie, for 3/4 of the season, he was the best player in the world.
Yeah, he was.
You know, and that's with the Africa Cup of Nations. The disappointment came back. He was running riot earlier on this season, wasn't he? So I'm not just gonna take the last bit of the season. I'm going to take it as a whole. And I think Mo Salah wins the best player of the season for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go for KDB. Now, I think this is Premier League, by the way, you guys. And of course, Salah's won the Golden Boot. But I think what KDB does for that particular team and the way he came on, it's funny, isn't it? KDB's slow start just then kind of took off. Mo Salah fast start, then kind of fell off. But between the two of them, it's a crapshoot. They've both been outstanding.
You can take your pick, can't you?
Yeah,
you can take
totally.
it. Yeah.
Totally. That is it. Best player, young player, best goal, best signing. We've done our Arsenal bits as well. Anything else you want to add about the season? Kev, it was a little bit more interesting this year, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Well, listen, it went right up until the wire, which, do you remember our seasons are usually done early at the Arsenal? Now we could argue and moan about a missed chance with 2 games to go. That tells you we're improving.
That's what Matthew just put up for you. Kev, opportunity missed.
Yeah, it is an opportunity missed, but we're improving. And you know what? I'll take it. I want to be positive. I always want to be positive about this Arsenal side. I think when you look at what we've achieved with this young side, we're only going to get better. That's why this window coming up is so key. I want Arsenal to do some early business, Sophie, to give us a lift. So, you know, when the players go on holiday, etc., the players get a lift. Because, I can't wait to get back and start training with him and playing with him and that type of stuff. Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting summer, but we need to move quick.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kev. A lot of the squaddies want to know real quick your manager of the season. It has to be Pep because he won the league right?
Well, you could say Pep, but you could say Klopp because he's won 2 cups and he's in the Champions League final. Just missed out on the league by a point. Take your pick. You know, you can take your pick. You really can. I mean, Pep's teams, they never die, do they? They just keep going and going. And they've had some disappointment this season. They've had depleted through injuries and they've had to make shift and do all that kind of stuff. But they got over the line in the end. So some could pick Klopp, some could pick Pep. You're both right.
They've got 6 now, Kev. They're United have 13. They have 6. Chelsea have 4 or 5. And then it's us with 3. And then Liverpool with 1. This is Premier League era we're talking about, by the way, kids.
Premier League era, yeah. Premier League era. But again, Soph, this is modern football now. This is what it's all about. It's about getting a quality squad together and getting the dressing room right. The likes of Manchester City and Liverpool do not come back so many times without having that dressing room right. That's for sure.
Yep. Patrick did well, MK. You're right. He really did. I had him being fired by November. But, you know, there's a few things I got wrong this season. But, Kev,
didn't we all, Soph? Didn't we all?
Yeah. I'm a bit upset because there's no humble pie ceremony. And I thought today would be the day where I'd get it served and smashed in my face.
Sophie, I've got a confession. I gave it all away, didn't I? I gave it all away earlier on. There's a park up the road, and I cut it up and I give it away, give it out, and everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. So do you know what? Probably there might be a new recipe next year. Just for you.
Hopefully. Listen, I was ready to
munch it. I know you were.
Absolutely, to devour it all. So yeah, and we can all. It's gone back in the freezer. It hasn't been burnt, but yeah. MR Scanner. Right, that is it. That's all we got time for today. Another epic extravaganza of a show. It's only right that we go over the hour for the end of season review. It's been an amazing season talking football with Super Kev. stay tuned. We will still be doing some shows over this period, and there'll be, remember, the fan review show. If you want to be part of that, email me, the Highbury Squad at gmail.com, the Highbury Squad at gmail.com, so you can come into the studio and have your say too. It's been quite incredible. It takes a lot to put on daily shows. I'd like to give a shout out to every other YouTube channel and podcaster in the Arsenal community. We know how tough it is, win or draw or lose, but what it means to kind of put content out. I have so much respect for those who run their own channel and for those who work hard every day to create content for the Arsenal community. Kev, it is quite, a slog in the season. It started in August. Started in August and we're almost to the end of May. But I tell you, it's been worth every single ounce of elation and pain and happiness and sorrow. And without you guys, we would never, ever have been able to do it. So it's been cool, hasn't it, Kev?
It's been great. And the squaddies play their part, don't they? They always play their part. And we battle, we fight, we do it all on this channel. And it's been an absolute pleasure to join you, Sophie, and the squaddies, and to do our first live show from the Hippodrome as well, which was brilliant. And to
be doing that again next season,
and to put some faces to the names as well. I think that was important, to meet people face to face and chat to them.
Definitely. And Demsek, well said. Super Kev, thank you for making this show different and special. I think what we love about our show is that you get the player and fan perspective at the same time, and it adds a little bit of a different dimension. So we appreciate that you recognize that as well. And Super Kevin Campbell comes on here. He's a busy man. He works across the universe doing and covering the game. And I just wanted to say to you, my podcast brother from another mother, you are the best. And sometimes people don't know the things that go on in life, but you are here and you're present and you're an inspiration. And on days where I feel like I just can't, you make me feel like I can. And that's the mind of an athlete. And that's what I love about our show, where I come from the fan point of view and you come from the I've laced those boots up point of view, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's been brilliant. Again.
Well, Sophie, that's the beauty of it. Soph, like I said, you coming over to Blighty, coming back and blessing us with your presence, me seeing you face to face and not just on the screen is always a lovely one. It was a pleasure meeting you. And you know what? The squaddies played their part, putting X's and stuff for you, in the chat is amazing, to make sure you travel safe and you got home safe. You saw your lovely family, etc. So, I just like to say thank you to you, Sophie, because I know how hard it is to do all what you do. And I'm not on every time. I'm on when I can be, but the times when I'm not on, you create the shows and you try, and you're always helping people. This is what maybe the squaddies don't realize. Sophie's always helping someone in the background. You may not see her, but other channels, she's helped other channels with guests. She's helped other channels with footage. She's helped other channels going on there, being a guest. So, Sophie, from me and the squaddies to you, darling, thank you so much for such a wonderful season on here with you on this platform called the Highbury Squad.
Amazing. Brilliant stuff. Super Kevin Campbell. All right, that's all we've got for you tonight. Jet lag is kicking in right now. It's late. So I was up at 3:00 this morning having my lunch, Kev.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, son.
Nothing wrong with that. So stay tuned to the community page on YouTube and, of course, Twitter. We'll let you know when we're coming at you live. We will be live this week. Kev might not be on every day. And again, don't forget the Highbury Squad at Gmail if you want to be part of the fan review show. That will be a lot of fun. Should have Harry, Tom, and Dan Potts on later on this week as well to do a bit of a season end review with them, and lots more other good stuff to come. And as the new season gets closer, we'll be making some additional announcements. Super Kev, take us out.
All right, you lovely squaddies. Salute. We salute you. And even though we've had gremlins on the system today, we've got to the end. And you know what? Sometimes it's not always good to be too early. The key is to get it right. And I think Sophie and the Highbury squad and the squaddies get it just right. We love you. Tell your loved ones you love them too. And you know what, squaddies? At ease. Squaddies. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.